UCF. You're looking at Memory Mall and all the fans who've come out on a Friday to celebrate the fact that all their team does is win, 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 no matter what. 22 straight wins and counting.
That was clever.
For the UCF Knights. Anyone who comes to this campus is walking into their very own nightmare.
Like what you did there.
Yes, and that's like one of those game days here for
And
the
you
very
stole it
first
from the
time.
sign.
I did. I stole it from the sign right behind us.
We ain't giving her credit right off the top. Come on now.
Plagiarism.
Maria Taylor, David Pollock, Desmond Howard, my biggest haters are here. But guess what?
Yeah.
You can't hate on the winners that are behind us.
No, you really can't. You can't. That's why we're here, because they, like you said, they win, 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 right?
They're
That's all
getting
they
hyped
do.
up. Look at these signs. This is
I know.
Friday. Some people should be working. They don't care. They're here for the show.
Very rarely do we have band and cheerleaders. And they,
On a Friday.
On a Friday. They
On
got
a
it rocking,
Friday.
so.
Yeah, they
This
got
is
it rocking, no
impressive.
doubt. Look at this.
Let's start our playoff conversation right now.
You know what's been so fun about being on this campus? We spent some time with a couple of the players, Mackenzie Melton, and they talk about this idea of being a freshman and losing every single game.
Yeah.
They were completely defeated, some of the seniors, when they got here. Tomorrow is going to be senior night, and now they spend 2 straight seasons winning.
Yeah.
I mean, what impresses
Fantastic.
you most about this program? These players who have dealt with 3 different coaches in 5 years, Des.
Well, first and foremost, I think that, these young men, David, you too, you're a former athlete. It's hard to win games.
Yeah.
So we give them a lot of credit for going out there and winning games. This is what, 22-game winning streak
Yeah.
so far. That's just outstanding. Outstanding on any level. And I think right now, Josh Heupel is doing a really good job of getting them the message, hey, we want to stay focused. We just want to go 1-0 each week. We can't control everything outside of this program, but what we can control, we're going to control and go out there and dominate. But I do think they're going to have their hands full with Cincinnati tomorrow night.
Well, and think about, too, how hard it is to do something like this when you have one of the best coaches in college football, Scott Frost.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he goes to Nebraska,
Yep.
and you think, oh, what's going to happen next? And new coach, same
Yeah,
results. I mean,
exactly.
that's even harder to do is to buy into a new coach. Sometimes that takes time, and
Yeah.
to continue the winning, you can see the speed on the field. You can
No
see
doubt.
the offense still continues to roll, the tempo. And let's be honest, Mackenzie Milton, we can talk about everything about the win streak and talk about comparing people to teams to other teams and if they could beat so-and-so. That kid could play for anybody. I mean, he's that kind of good. So you got to respect his game and what he's been able to accomplish
And
because he can do it all.
Josh Heupel, I mean, he fell into a situation where they were UCF.
Yeah, Mackenzie Melton, I think 21 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He has had to sit out a game with an injury against East Carolina, but he's also a guy that, from Hawaii,
Yep.
he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's the youngest of all his brothers in his family, and he's one of the guys that has no problem saying, like, we are the best team. You can look in our locker room. We're a brotherhood. We fight for each other. We play for each other. He's a catalyst for this team. Do we think he's underrated? Look, I tell you, I get no respect. Check out the sign.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
He
by
mentions
the
that.
way, I'm glad they feel that way.
Yeah.
And then they should feel that way. Like, I'm not saying it's true, but why, you should feel like you're the best team in the country. You should feel like you could beat anybody. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. I think every locker room, Des, when you start a season, even teams that aren't very good, you have that little slither of hope, like, we might, 1 in a million, we might be able to put it together.
Exactly.
And so you have to have that belief as an athlete. And Mackenzie Milton, obviously, not only should have that confidence, look at what he does. All he does is ball.
Well, for Mackenzie Melton, it's not a sliver. It is like a wide open, gaping hole because he talks about the fact that he believes his team is better than Notre Dame, and he even talked about it in meetings. He said, I've watched all of the film.
Right.
You look at the Pitt film against us in Notre Dame, you can't tell me Notre Dame is a better team than us. And he has asked, you don't see a difference? Oh, I see a difference. We're just better. That's the difference. And what he's referring to is the fact that it took Notre Dame, they had to have a late score to get over Pitt. I think UCF beat Pitt by like 31 points. So he's saying, okay, if we have a common opponent, we performed much better, then why are people not having us in the same conversation as
Penn
Notre
State
Dame?
beat him like that, too. That doesn't mean we should start saying Penn State's the best team in the country either.
Yeah.
But does he not have an argument?
I'm just saying.
I mean, I agree with David. Some teams, they have a bad weekend and, they don't show up. We see that each week. I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison like people are trying to make it out to be. The one thing I do like about Mackenzie Milton. Some of my favorite players are guys who play with a chip on their shoulder for one reason or another, and I respect that. You look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers, a guy like Tom Brady. These guys, you know, they play at a high level consistently because they still keep that chip on their shoulder, and I like that about him. I respect that about Mackenzie Milton. I hope it stays there. I hope he keeps that edge.
Yeah, Mackenzie Milton, he also watches a lot of Drew Brees film. That's what Coach Heupel is drawing up for him to have him kind of mirror his game some. Let's take a look around the nation at this week's Rankings Mayhem, brought to you by Allstate. Number 3, Notre Dame, speaking of them, and number 12, Syracuse. They're squaring off at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. And if you're looking for omens, these teams have met before at Yankee Stadium. That was way back in 1963, a game that only Gino was aware of, and a game that Syracuse won 14-7.
Gino's not even in the segment when you're taking shots at him. I like that.
What are going to be the keys to this game, Syracuse and Notre Dame, Des?
Well, you know, because Syracuse, they score a lot of points. They average 44 points a game. I think that Notre Dame can't get in the shootout with them. Syracuse, I believe, needs to stop the run. I believe that Ian Book is an incredible quarterback. I think that he has a lot of talent, but you want to stop Dexter Williams. Since he's come back, he's averaged 128 yards a game, 10 touchdowns on the ground. And in my opinion, he's the guy who keeps Notre Dame's offense on schedule. He keeps them ahead of the chains and makes things very, very easy, in my opinion, for the offensive coordinator and for Ian Book to, you know, with the play action and plays they want to go down the field. So in my opinion, Syracuse must stop the run if they're going to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, and if you're Syracuse on their side offensively, Eric Dungy's a hoss. I mean, he's a big cat that he's their quarterback. He looks like a running back, tight end build. And here's the thing: if you're watching Dino Babers, they run so many plays and they just tempo you to death.
They're coming at you. They're coming at you.
And here's the thing, Des: you got the play stopped and you got the shifts and motions that they do at warp speed, and then all of a sudden he scrambles for 10. And here's what happens: 3 more plays.
Sure.
And then he makes another play and 3 more plays, and then next thing you know, you're a defensive lineman, experienced, tongue hanging out, dragging. You're tired, and that's the thing. If Syracuse is going to win this game, it'll be the scrambles of Dungy, the running ability of Dungy, continuing to stay on the field, keep Notre Dame offense off the field, and just wear you out, because that's what they do best.
Remember they had some early success against Clemson. They didn't have the depth, or they couldn't keep it going, but they did in the beginning of that game on the road. Would you say that Notre Dame would be eliminated from the college football playoff conversation if they lose this game to Syracuse?
One and done.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. Yeah, I mean, you know, it depends now. A lot of other teams got to handle their business too, you know, but I think if everyone you know, you're looking at Michigan, you're looking at, obviously, Alabama, Clemson, and those teams in that little cluster. Yeah, Notre Dame, if they lose one game, because don't forget, they don't have a championship game.
Yeah.
So if they lose one game, it's a wrap for the Fighting Irish.
I don't think it's done, but obviously it would just require a lot of help. And we've seen crazy things happen, you know, in November. You know, I think at that point, one of the key things that would be held against them is when they're watching the games on Championship Saturday, and other people are playing big-time opponents that they're going to be comparing to, and you're going to go, they just won a championship and beat Michigan could beat a top 10 team on the last week of the season. And I think the committee would be like, dude, I just saw that. I'm going to give you credit for doing that. So I think it makes their path a lot harder, but I still think the comparison with Notre Dame and Michigan, you'd still have the similar records in a head-to-head that might come into play if that scenario.
But if they lose, like, to, let's say USC, it's a wrap.
It's
done.
Yeah, you're talking about
that's a bad loss. It's a bad loss.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the committee and credit, and that's all UCF wants from the playoff committee. They want some credit. It seems like, it's a night time to expand the playoff? Well, there's always a right time to make some changes. We'll see whether or not anyone hears your cries, guys. All we know is College Game Day's here for the very first time. We've got big games coming our way this weekend as well. And we had a big game last night where Major Applewhite got into it with Ed Oliver. We're going to talk about exactly what went down and who was out of bounds. And coming up, college football coming your way. Oklahoma State taking on West Virginia Saturday at 3:30. You can catch that on the ESPN app, so you can watch it anywhere. In Cincinnati at UCF, that'll be the night game. We'll be on the sidelines, and ABC is where you can watch it. Remember, you can stream live on the ESPN app. And we've got the band here. We've got the Spirit Squad here. We've got Gino here. I'm glad he found a new job, because he ain't coming up here to do the other one.
That is great.
Football Live. We're on the Memory Mall here on the campus of UCF, where no one has class, no one has to go to work. All they want to do is celebrate 22 straight wins and counting, and a chance to lock up the AAC West Division tomorrow against Cincinnati. Gino, he did find a new job a second ago. The trumpet player in the band.
And you know what?
The old trumpet player, right? Because I was around in 1941 or whatever she said.
And when she kicks you off the set in a second, you can go right back to playing, buddy.
Exactly.
That's right.
You're the trumpet man from now on.
Yes, ma'am.
Just like Rocket Man. Gino, you had a good idea, and I know that you got it from the ESPNU radio show Full Ride. But let's talk about 5-5 teams, because it's an interesting time. You're trying to get bowl eligible. We're grinding down to the end of the season. But there are some teams that are on this list that are interesting who maybe at the beginning of the season.
Miami.
Right.
Miami is a 5-5.
Wow.
Oklahoma State.
Didn't see that coming.
USC. Tennessee, Purdue, like these are all teams, well, half of them. I don't know if Purdue would be in this conversation, but teams that you would expect would have sewn up a bowl bid at least by now. So it's kind of interesting. And you want to talk about the most intriguing ones, Gino. So who stands out to you?
Well, I was going to pick USC just because of sort of the tumultuous times there with Clay Helton. But think back to last November, late November, the dumpster fire that was the Tennessee coaching search.
Yep.
And then you looked at their schedule and you thought they'll be lucky to win four games.
2 and 5 at the best to start the season.
Right. So I was there during spring practice, and one of their assistant coaches told me, we do not have a lot of SEC talent here, but we will play hard, and we are going to win 2 games we should not win. Auburn, Kentucky end up being the 2. Now they're 5-5 if they win one of their last 2 games, and granted, it's no gimmies against Mizzou and Vandy.
Yeah.
If Jeremy Pruitt goes to a bowl game in his first year after what happened with that situation and where they were and where they could be, that's a really intriguing 5-5 team to me right now.
How about the Cowboys, Oklahoma State? Like, this is a team that each year, you know, they're very competitive. Gundy does a really good job once you get past the mullet and everything. He's a serious coach. And they always have some talent. And then, you know, you look at them, they beat Texas.
Yeah.
But then you lose against Baylor. You know, you're in a dogfight against Iowa State. And
almost beat OU.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just so inconsistent. And, man, I was really surprised to see this team sitting at 5-5 because they normally do a tremendous job.
When you talked about that list and you saw them all and you're like, well, Purdue, I don't even know if they belong on the list. That's exactly right.
You know?
Purdue is a good football team. They beat number 2 Ohio when they were number 2 Ohio State.
Right.
They beat number 16 Iowa. They beat number 23 Boston College. They're Purdue. I mean, this is an awesome season for them. They started 0-3, 5-2 since. Like, this is a really explosive, fun, good team to watch that I don't think we expected them to have those wins, have another chance to beat Wisconsin, another really good team or a pretty good team in college football. I think if Purdue fans would have been like, okay, we'll take 3 top 23 wins. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, they're intriguing on the positive side, right? Because Rondell Moore, we didn't know how great he was going to be in that
freshman. My favorite freshman.
Isn't he?
My favorite freshman in college football, Rondell Moore.
Might be one of my favorite players in college football right now.
He's
an electric.
Heck of a talent.
Reminds me of somebody else.
Oh.
Thank you, Gino. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, not you.
Oh, you want my bad.
So, Gino, you've been in Orlando for a while now. What piece are you working on?
I was here when it was 90 degrees earlier in the week, and I'm doing a piece.
This week?
Yeah.
They cheer for 90 degrees.
It was 90.
Wow.
90. I left yesterday from Chicago. It was snowing, so I'm glad to be back
No offense,
here.
Boston College. This is just a smidge better weather.
I am doing a story sort of going to the people, and the people of UCF are telling me why they should be in the playoff.
Okay.
That is going to be the story tomorrow.
So they're allowed to, like, state their case.
They state the case, and they do it passionately.
Did any of them do it really well?
Oh, you'll see tomorrow.
I can't
We got a
wait.
couple
I'm excited about
surprises.
this
That's a
team.
professional tease right there.
Yeah.
Couple
You'll see
surprises.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
What about players for UCF? Did you talk to any of them?
Well, there was one player that we talked to that remembers a certain member of this this group right here when he was in the 3-bill range.
Okay, let's see.
Well, there's only one, I think.
Exactly.
Back in Little League, when I used to play rec league ball, I had a David Pollock jersey that I wore to my elementary school practice every day. Would come home, make my mom wash it. It was ripped, torn, everything. Still wore it every day. I'm a huge fan. Go Dogs.
I get a lot of boos probably too with some of my comments, but hey, it was pretty nice.
You got one win for the day. That's it.
I'll take the win.
That's a big win.
He needed a better role model growing up.
He
It
did.
shouldn't have been me, but I appreciate it, Wyatt.
Okay, well, he didn't go to class though, Wyatt. You make sure you go. Wyatt Miller, he's a fan favorite here at UCF, left tackle for the Knights, and they're hoping to get a win against Cincinnati on Saturday night. Plenty more here to cover today on College Football Live, and we're gonna go what's inbounds and what's out of bounds. Should Tua play this weekend. We'll get the guys' thoughts on what Saban should do. And our college football playoff top 25 show always coming your way and releasing the
on ESPN.
And coming up on College Game Day Saturday morning, don't let the hype about the mustache fool you. Washington State's Gardner Minshew and his squad are creeping into the hunt for the college football playoff. Jen Lotto went to Pullman to get to know the Cougars signal caller, while Tom Rinaldi with the story of Ben Abercrombie, who sustained a paralyzing neck injury while playing in his first game for Harvard last season, his inspirational fight to get back on campus. And Gino, he was on campus here in Orlando this week to hear from UCF faithful about why life outside the Power Five has led to not getting any of the love the Knights want. Let's take a look at our blimp-worthy player, UCF punter Mac Loudermilk.
Oh, yeah.
Presented by Goodyear.
Give it to me.
Now, Loudermilk is a former high school quarterback. He's averaging 42.3 yards per punt this season.
Watch
He's
this.
also
Yes,
known for the long hair, the beard, and, of course, the celebrations afterwards. I had to check in with him because he's a passionate punter with a crazy atmosphere. Maria Taylor alongside UCF's punter, Mac Loudermilk. And in case you were wondering, he's the guy who has all the great celebrations as soon as he hits a good punt. How do you decide which celebration you're going to do?
It's all just kind of based on where I'm on the field hitting the ball. If it's a 50-plus yard punt, then it's the baseball swing. But if it's a punt that gets down inside the 5, then I bring out the golf swing. And then the McGregor walk is just whenever I feel it.
So I've been told you're the heartbeat of his team. Tell me how a punter becomes the heartbeat of a football team.
Honestly, it's just going in and attacking the weight room. You can't just be that guy that sits on the side, just kind of half doing everything. So you just go in there, you get with the biggest dude in there, and you lift the same amount of weight as him, or try to. And so, however that happens, how that plays out, that's how you earn their respect.
Shout out to Mac trying to fight, though, while he gets his one little block in.
Stand up for yourself.
Which brings up inbounds or out of bounds. Is it inbounds that Mac celebrates the way he does after a punt? I mean, he's feeling good, right?
Absolutely. I like that he doesn't get called for it. I love it. I mean, listen, punters and kickers are different. Des, you've been in a lot of locker rooms. They're different creatures, okay? They're very strange. And I like emotion in the game. I like celebration in the game. I'm surprised they get flagged, to be honest, in today's football, because God forbid we have any fun, but I love it.
Yeah, I like it too. I like to see a punter or kicker show some personality, get the team fired up, get the guys going. You know, and he's a really, really good punter too. He probably doesn't get a chance to punt a lot because the offense is so explosive, but I like that. I like to see the personality come out in the punter.
I agree with you. Mac played quarterback. He was a linebacker. He did everything in high school, and somehow he settled on being a punter. He's like, I still don't know what I'm doing out here. Let's talk about what Alabama's doing, though. Nick Saban, not happy about questions about whether or not he should sit his starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes.
Is it inbounds or out of bounds to even bring up the conversation, the idea of sitting your starting quarterback?
Well, it's inbounds. You can bring up anything you want. Now, how Nick handles it is Nick. But I mean, it's absolutely inbounds for the media to ask. This is a guy that keeps hobbling off the field, okay, and goes down and looks bad for a moment. So you absolutely should ask about it.
This guy's the Heisman front runner right now. He's your key to getting back to the national championship game and potentially winning it. What's the upside in playing him in this game? So I think it's definitely inbounds. This guy is too valuable to this team, not just the offense, but to the whole team. So it's definitely inbounds.
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys saw this last night, but Ed Oliver and Major Applewhite, his head coach, kind of getting into
the game.
Did I?
On the sidelines.
Yeah, I saw
because Major Applewhite wanted him to take the jacket off because they're reserved for the players who are playing in the game. Walked up to him, said, hey, you know, take that off. Ed didn't too much like that.
This is important. Look at pregame warm-ups.
Yeah, I see him. I see him.
Do you think
I see what you're saying.
Do you think Ed is healthy to play? He appears possibly Des healthy enough to leap up and grab balls. He might be healthy enough to play there. So this was awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
I love it.
So go ahead. What is it? Inbounds or out of bounds?
It's absolutely inbounds. There are rules in place whether you are a superstar or a scrub, and that's the way it goes. Guess what? If I'm a coach, Major Applewhite, and I'm setting the tone for my team, Ed Oliver's gone in a couple weeks. He gone.
Yeah,
I can make a statement for my culture and for the future.
So it's inbounds the way Major handled it? Because that's the question? What's inbounds?
It's inbounds that the coach
properly is what
that the coach is allowed to tell him to take the jacket off because those are for starters.
Ed handled it.
Right. So you're saying it's out of bounds
saying?
the way Ed handled it.
It's inbounds for Major Applewhite to do what he did.
Okay. He has no comment on
it's
that.
inbounds for a coach to tell you to take a coat off. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the question. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is the way he responded to Applewhite, like, I want to put hands on you.
Is that out of bounds?
That's the question. It depends on how
He said it to him?
Exactly. Exactly.
Give me the coat
Respect
scrub now.
begets respect.
It's about respect.
And if you came to Ed sideways, you know this man's temperament.
Yeah.
You know this guy. So if you're dealing with him like that, he's going to deal with you back. You're going to get the energy that you put out.
Speaking of respect, again, UCF fans, all they want is respect. I'm looking at the side of 2017 National Championship formula. Remember, they're better than all those teams, according to Albert Einstein on this poster. Inbounds or out of bounds?